Good morning to all of you, class. How are you doing today? Nice to have you here. We have two people that I have not been able to place in a team because they have not told me yet what they are going to be doing, and they're going to be telling me in a few moments. So, guys, I split you into teams. You know that there are two teams. One is Team Leilani Hill, and the other team is Team Kairi Hernandez. And what I did was I looked at what you expressed you were interested in doing, and I tried to spread you out as evenly as possible. Since we have 11 students in this group, one group is going to have six, and the other one's going to have five. It's done. We're settled. Let me, Gabriel Crespo. Okay, right now, you're not going to be like acting or recording anything yet. That will be in the future, and the near future. Because what we have in front of us is writing now, and everybody's going to be writing, especially the writers, but everyone's going to be writing. Um, so we're gonna take care of that first, and then we'll like start giving you work in your field of expertise. So, guys, I'm very happy. I'm very pleased that we have taken care of this. This was like being very problematic, but it's done. It's solved. Okay. So, team leaders, remember who your team members are. What's your next step? You have to make sure that you have some type of chat or something where you guys can work together, contact each other, be in close collaboration because you're going to be working together. Is that clear? No one should be excluded. Everyone is necessary, especially in teams that are so small as yours. So make sure that you can share contact information today because you guys are going to be in contact, okay? You're buddies now, you're best friends. Is that clear? And the word is yes. Okay, the word is yes. And remember, we all get along, right? I'm not telling that you have to be friends and all that, but at least you're going to be respectful of each other and considerate. You're going to be professional, okay, towards each other. So I expect nothing less than your courtesy and your goodwill because this is going to be a team effort. Later on, you're going to be involved in projects where you're going to have to like help your peer, your teammate. And remember that things that need to be done by a team need to be done by every team member, not by one. By everyone has to be included. Everyone. No one can be left behind. No one. Okay? All right. Having said that, today's lesson is titled Paradigms. Now, what is a paradigm? Remember that we're talking about screenplays. Paradigm, I have my own definition because if you go to the internet, you're going to find 1,000 different definitions. I think that I boiled it down to this. A paradigm is a particular and or systematic way of approaching a field of knowledge. It's a particular way of looking at things and understanding things. For example, when we talk about the origin of humanity, human beings, we've been asking ourselves for millennia, where do we come from? And there are different answers, there are different approaches, there are different ways of looking at this. One of them is the theory of evolution. That's a paradigm. It says that no, that men, what we call Homo sapiens, has evolved from other lesser species, etc., etc., etc. This process never stops. It takes millions or billions of years and all that. You've heard about it. But that's not the only way of answering that question. There's another paradigm. Well, but that does not have to do with the creation of humanity, right? That would be about the creation of the universe, and that would be a paradigm, right? But I'm talking about human beings. One of them is evolution. Another one that we hear about is creationism. It states that no, man has not evolved. Man is actually the product of intelligent design. There's a creator, a superior being, who people call God, and he designed and created man, humanity. Man was created the way he is. Man did not evolve, but was created Homo sapiens, the way he is, the way we see man today. So those are two different approaches to answering this question, two different worldviews, if you want to use that term, two different systematic approaches to this area of knowledge, which is the origin of man or humanity. Is that clear, guys? That's one that and I use that as an example. You can apply a paradigm to any field of knowledge. We're talking screenplays. Well, guess what? There are different approaches to writing a screenplay. There are many. Today, I want to explore two with you. I usually explore three, something called the hero's journey, another one called the Sid Field paradigm, and another one called the Michael Haig method. But I'm going to skip Michael Haig, and I'm going to be presenting you these two different paradigms or approaches to screenplay writing. Um, so this class is very important. It's important that you understand this. And let's begin. Let's begin the lesson. So you already know what a paradigm, remember, is. A paradigm is a way of approaching a field of knowledge or a way of understanding a particular area of what we perceive as reality. I use the examples of evolution and creationism. In screenplay writing and cinematography, when you're writing screenplays, and we know that a screenplay is a story told with pictures, okay? And that we use dialogue and that we use action description to push this story forward. And that the story uses what we call the dramatic structure, which is something I explained already in the previous lesson, that you also learned in the literature class, right? What the dramatic structure is. So using all of that, you create a screenplay. Now, the other thing that we have to mention about screenplay writing, like every story, that stories have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And that's what all stories have in common. They have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And screenplays have like a basic linear structure that creates the form for the screenplay, and for it to hold all the elements that need to be there. Okay, so the storyline can be put in its place. Um, have you heard of the three-act structure? I don't remember if it was Aristotle or one of these Greek philosophers that said that stories need to have a beginning, a middle, and an end because they have to imitate life. Right? Stories are like life. You're young, you grow up, you're middle aged, and then you're old and you die. Beginning, middle, end. And that's why you see that if you've ever read a play, you'll notice that most plays, especially older plays, have a three-act structure. Act one, act two, and act three. Not all of them have a linear structure like this one. You got the first one that I'm going to present to you is called the hero's journey, and this one has a circular structure. I'm going to show you a video that isn't the presentation, but I felt the need to show this video because some of you say that you don't watch the videos that I order you to watch that are in the presentation that are part of the class, and that's very dangerous because it will affect. That's a promise. It will affect your grade because you're skipping class now. Watching the videos like skipping class, but I have the urge to show this to you. So I'm gonna excuse me a second so you can see this video about the hero's journey. Okay, let me share with you a moment. Okay, there we are. Thank you. Okay, for your patience. So, guys, did you enjoy the video? Okay, those are the kinds of videos that I link to. These are the kinds of videos that I link to the presentations, guys. So what you saw here is called the hero's journey, and it is probably the most used paradigm in screenplay writing. You can be certain that many of the movies that you have seen follow that formula. That's like a formula, as you can see. And you can see this in movies like most Marvel movies. How many of you watch Marvel movies? MCU movies. Many of them use this. I think that one of the, whether you've seen Captain America or Thor, all of these movies, they use the hero's journey formula. Okay, what does that formula look like? Let's recap what we just saw in the video. Yes. Well, not now you know why, right? Now you know why you're reminded of that movie, because the story structure that is being that is being used, the paradigm, the approach to storytelling that is being used is using this formula. So you've seen this formula probably 1,000 times, and you can call the movie whatever you want. You can call it Star Wars, you can call it Thor, you can call it the Lord of the Rings, you can call it any of the Harry Potter movies, you can call it the Hunger Games, and they follow that formula. What they just described the different steps. It's like a circle. It's very cyclical. Okay, it's a cycle that begins with the ordinary world. You know, the hero is there living his normal life, and then there's something happens called the call to adventure, where that normal life is somehow being threatened or being destroyed. Reality, the way that this character knew it, is over. It can be an alien invasion is coming. Um, I'm moving to a new neighborhood and a new school, things like that. That's call to adventure. Refusal to the call means that sometimes the hero might resist engaging this new reality. They probably go to this new neighborhood and this new school, and they're shy. They don't want to make friends, or like in Star Wars, Obi-Wan Kenobi tells Luke that he has to go with him to make sure that they can take the droids to the rebels. And he says, no, I can't because I have to help my uncle. So he's refusing the call, right? Then we have something called meeting with the mentor, which is, you know what a mentor is? A mentor is a teacher, the one that helps the hero by guiding him and giving him good advice and good counsel. We call something called the crossing the first threshold, which is when the hero finally decides to like go ahead, take a step. Okay, let me try to join the basketball team. Let me leave my village and embark on this quest, whatever it is. Then we have something called tests and allies and enemies, where the problem is getting worse before it gets better. Our hero is being tested. We have the approach to the innermost cave. Remember, the innermost cave is the place where your biggest fears live, because using the story structure, the hero's journey confronts the hero with his biggest fears. You have to face your biggest fear, and your biggest fear is in this cave. You don't want to go there, but you have to go there and confront that fear. The ordeal is another name for a test, a big test that will challenge you or weaken the character. We have the reward, which is once you know when you're playing video game that you kill one of the bosses or destroy one of the or defeat one of the bosses. The reward is what? You're allowed to step into the new level of the game, right? I mean, if you're a gamer, you know what I'm talking about, right? Guys, that's well, yeah. This is an example, right? Of I'm just giving you an example of how this works. You've seen this, as I said, in a million movies. This formula. This is a formula that you use. There's something called the road back, where the hero. Uh, remember all these steps, guys. You don't have to follow all of them strictly. You can choose which steps, right? Uh, but you use most of them, if not all of them. You're not obligated to use all of them. The road back, where the hero is either going back to the cave or going back home. We have something called resurrection that usually is at the climax. Sometimes the biggest ordeal happens after um, what we thought would be the bigger deals. There's an even bigger one. An example of resurrection would be, how many of you saw a movie called Thor? I thought you said you saw Marvel movies. Okay, you know that Thor is punished by his father Odin because of his arrogance, right? And what is the punishment? Oh, you're going to Midgard. What's that? Well, Earth. You're going to live in Earth like a mortal man. You're not going to be a god there because you have to learn humility. And he is humbled. He does learn humility, and he learns to appreciate other people. And when the destroyer is sent to destroy this town where he's living, he sacrifices himself, right? And that sacrifice means that he passed the test. And that's when you see the hammer, Mjolnir, is flying back, and he regains his godhood and his powers and all that stuff. And you know the rest of the movie, right? That would be called the resurrection. It's when we have the birth of a newer, better version of you. That's what the resurrection means. Return with the elixirs, returning with a prize. That happens at the end after the climax. And that will be what the hero's journey is all about. You can read more about the hero's journey there. There's the Sid Field paradigm. I'm going to be dedicating an entire lesson to the Sid Field paradigm alone. And the Sid Field paradigm looks like that. You have something called, this one is linear. You have Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. And you have the setup, which is the first act. And the setup, you have the inciting incident, which is the event that sets things in motion, the conflict in motion, the conflict that needs to be solved. We have plot point one, where the story is going in a certain direction, and all of a sudden it changes, it surprises you. That ends Act 1 and moves on to Act 2, where we have the pinch 1 and pinch 2. I'm going to be uh, describing what those pinches. But pinches are reminders. You use pinches in the second act to remind people what the story is about, because so many things are happening that sometimes you have to remind people. Remember, the story is about this, and of course, you don't say that by narrating anything, because you don't narrate in a movie. Things happen that remind you. Remember, the story is about this. So you have the two pinches in the second act, and the third act is where we have the climax. Is where the story is building up to the climax, and then it falls down. That's what we call resolution. Okay, so that will be like the Sid Field paradigm. That's what it's like. Okay, so guys, there's portfolio work, and here's what you're going to do. You can do this for the end of the week, right? In this portfolio work, you're going to choose one of the two paradigms, whether it's the Sid Field paradigm or the hero's journey. And what you're going to do is you're going to choose one of these movies that you see here. It has to be one of those. It cannot be any other movie. You choose from that list. If you have seen one of those movies, or if you want to see any of those movies, some of them are on Disney Plus. If you have Disney Plus, Avatar is there, Hidden Figures is there, and Star Wars Episode 4, which is the first Star Wars movie, is there. You have all these, Lion King. You have a bunch of movies that you can see in Disney Plus or one of those streaming apps. If you saw them already, well, good for you. Saw them already. Choose one of these, and I want you to present this movie using one of the paradigms, whether it's the hero's journey, what part of the movie represents what part of the hero's journey, or in the Sid Field paradigm, what part of the movie falls in what part of the Sid Field paradigm. Is that clear, guys? That would be the work. You have sheets for both. Where are the sheets? In my website. You're going to find a sheet that has like a circle. You can download it, print it, and write it there, and then or write on it, edit it. And you have one that has the Sid Field structure that I just showed you, and you can write the parts there. Okay? Any question? In my website, honey, my website, everything's there. Remember, all the goodies are there in the cinematography page. Any other question, guys? Okay, then, guys, I'm gonna set you loose because You have places to go, and so do I. So see you in a couple of days. Take care.